WWE just made the dumbest, most short-sighted, most infuriating decision in recent memory, and I am furious. They had a golden opportunity to create a star-making moment, to elevate someone who has been waiting in the wings ready to explode onto the main event scene, and instead, they wasted it on a return that makes absolutely zero sense from any logical storytelling perspective. Jacob Fatu came back this week and brutally attacked both Drew McIntyre and Cody Rhodes, and while that sounds incredible on paper, the execution and the reasoning behind it is so backwards, so poorly thought out, that I genuinely question whether anyone in WWE's creative department understands basic narrative structure anymore. By the time this video is over, you're either going to be as angry as I am about how this was handled, or you're going to explain to me in the comments why you think destroying months of careful storytelling for a cheap pop was somehow worth it. Let's start with the attack itself, because I need to be fair and acknowledge that the visual spectacle of what Jacob Fatu did was absolutely incredible. The man is a beast. He's 6'1", 270 pounds of pure Samoan warrior genetics, and when he moves, when he explodes into action, it's like watching a freight train collide with a brick wall. The physicality, the intensity, the sheer violence he brought to his assault on both Drew McIntyre and Cody Rhodes was everything you could possibly want from a monster heel making his presence felt. But here's the problem. Context matters. Execution matters. And the context of this attack makes absolutely no sense whatsoever. Jacob Fatu has been out of action for months. The last time we saw him, he was embroiled in bloodline drama, dealing with the complex family dynamics between Roman Reigns, Solo Sikoa, and the rest of the Samoan dynasty. That storyline was compelling, it was layered, it had history and emotional weight behind it. And then Jacob disappeared. No explanation, no farewell, just gone. And now he comes back, and instead of addressing any of that unfinished business, instead of explaining where he's been or what he wants or why he's back now specifically, he just shows up and starts attacking people who have nothing to do with his previous storyline. Nothing. Drew McIntyre and Cody Rhodes weren't involved in bloodline business. They weren't the ones who wronged Jacob. They have no connection to his character whatsoever. So why is he attacking them? Here's my first question for you, and I genuinely want to know your thoughts. Do you think Jacob Fatu attacking Drew and Cody out of nowhere makes him look like a dangerous wild card? Or does it make him look like a mindless monster with no clear motivation? Drop your honest opinion in the comments. The attack happened during what was supposed to be a face-to-face confrontation between Drew McIntyre and Cody Rhodes following their heated exchange about Dusty Rhodes' watch. Both men were in the ring, tensions were at an absolute breaking point, and the crowd was completely invested in seeing these two finally come to blows. The energy in that arena was electric. You could feel that something big was about to happen. And then Jacob Fatu's music hit, and for about 3 seconds the crowd went absolutely insane because a monster returning is always exciting. But then confusion started to set in, because why is Jacob Fatu interrupting this particular segment? Jacob storms to the ring with that intense Samoan war dance energy, and both Cody and Drew were standing there looking at him like, what the hell is happening right now? And you know what? That's exactly how I felt watching it. Because there was no narrative setup, no foreshadowing, no logical reason for Jacob Fatu to have beef with either of these men. He just charges in and starts throwing super kicks like he's in a fighting game, button-mashing the strike button. And I'll give credit where it's due. The super kicks looked brutal. Jacob caught Drew with one that nearly took his head off, and then before Cody could even process what was happening, he ate one too. Both men went down hard, and Jacob wasn't finished. He started throwing them around the ring like they were nothing, hitting running hip attacks in the corner, moonsaults from the top rope despite being nearly 300 pounds, just an absolute display of athletic dominance that reminded everyone why Jacob Fatu is considered one of the most physically gifted performers in the world. But again, I keep coming back to the same question. Why? What is Jacob's motivation here? Is he working for someone? Is this revenge for something that happened off-screen that we're supposed to just accept? Is he making a statement that he's going after the top guys in WWE? We don't know, because WWE didn't bother to explain it. They just wanted the visual of Jacob Fatu standing tall over Cody Rhodes and Drew McIntyre. Consequences and logic be damned. Let me ask you this. What do you think Jacob Fatu's motivation should be for attacking these two? What explanation would make this make sense to you? Because I'm struggling to come up with anything that doesn't feel forced. The most frustrating part of this entire situation is that Jacob Fatu deserves better than this. The man has been grinding for years, paying his dues on the independent scene, tearing it up in Major League Wrestling, becoming one of the most talked about prospects in wrestling before finally signing with WWE. His work in NXT was phenomenal. His match quality has always been top tier. He has the look, the intensity, the family lineage, everything you could possibly want in a main event star. And this is how WWE brings him back? As a random attack dog with no clear purpose or direction? This reeks of WWE's worst creative instincts, sacrificing long-term storytelling for a short-term shock moment. Yes, people popped when his music hit. Yes, social media went crazy for about 20 minutes. But what happens next week? What's the follow-up? How does this attack lead to anything meaningful for Jacob Fatu's character? Because if the answer is just, he joins another faction, or he becomes a hired gun for someone, then this was a complete waste of his return. Jacob destroyed both men with a series of devastating moves that showcased his entire arsenal. The running hip attack that crushed Drew in the corner looked like it legitimately knocked the wind out of him. The moonsault onto Cody from the top rope had people in the arena gasping because you just don't expect someone Jacob's size to move like that. And the double super kick he delivered to both men simultaneously? Chef's kiss from a visual standpoint, but narratively empty. Here's what really grinds my gears. This attack doesn't help anyone involved. It doesn't help Jacob because he looks like a directionless monster rather than a calculated competitor with specific goals. It doesn't help Drew because he just got laid out by someone who has no reason to target him, making him look vulnerable right when he's supposed to be this unstoppable force. And it doesn't help Cody because he's already dealing with crowd rejection issues, and getting destroyed by a returning star doesn't make him look strong or sympathetic. It just makes him look like another victim. The commentary team tried their best to sell this as some huge, shocking moment, screaming about how Jacob Fatu just made a statement and how nobody is safe. But their words felt hollow because even they couldn't explain why this was happening. Michael Cole kept saying things like, Jacob Fatu is back and he's making an impact, without ever addressing the obvious question of why he's making an impact on these specific people. Quick question for the comments. Do you think Jacob Fatu attacking Drew and Cody out of nowhere makes him look like a dangerous wild card? Or does it make him look like a mindless monster with no clear motivation? Drop your honest opinion in the comments. Let's talk about the attack afterwards, because this is where WWE could have salvaged some of this if they'd handled it correctly. Both Cody and Drew were left lying in the ring, medical staff came out to check them, and Jacob Fatu stood on the ramp just staring at the destruction he caused with this intense, unreadable expression on his face. It was a powerful image, I admit, but powerful images without narrative context are just pretty pictures. They don't build to anything, they don't create investment. They're just moments that look good in highlight reels. What WWE should have done is had Jacob grab a microphone and explain himself. Even if the explanation was simple, even if it was just, I'm back and I'm taking what should have been mine from the beginning, that would be something. That would give us insight into his character, his motivations, his goals. But instead, we got silence. We got Jacob walking away without saying a word, leaving the audience to speculate about what any of this means. And you know what speculation leads to? Fan theories that are probably better than what WWE actually has planned. I guarantee you that right now there are thousands of fans on social media creating elaborate storylines about why Jacob attacked these specific people, finding connections that don't actually exist, convincing themselves that WWE is playing 4D chess, when in reality, they probably just thought, wouldn't it be cool if Jacob came back and beat people up? The fact that this happened during what was supposed to be a Drew versus Cody confrontation is particularly baffling because that feud has been building to something important. The Dusty Rhodes watch situation, the personal attacks, the escalating intensity, all of that was leading somewhere. And now Jacob Fatu has been inserted into it for reasons unknown, which either means we're getting a triple threat situation that nobody asked for, or this attack was just a random interruption that will be forgotten about in 2 weeks. Here's my concern about the triple threat possibility. Neither Drew nor Cody needs Jacob Fatu added to their match. Their feud is personal, it's intense, it's built on months of character work and emotional storytelling. Adding a third person who has no connection to any of that doesn't enhance the story, it dilutes it. It turns a focused, character-driven narrative into a generic three guys fighting for a championship match that we've seen 1,000 times. Let me get your take on this. If this leads to a triple threat match at the next pay-per-view, does that excite you or disappoint you? Would you rather see Drew versus Cody one-on-one, or do you think Jacob Fatu's involvement could actually make it better? The physicality of Jacob's attack cannot be overstated. When he hit that running hip attack on Drew, you could hear the impact throughout the entire arena. When he moonsaulted on Cody, the ring shook. When he was throwing super kicks, both men were selling them like they'd been shot. From a pure spectacle standpoint, this was everything you could want. Jacob Fatu looked like an absolute killer, like someone who could walk through anyone on the roster without breaking a sweat. But again, I keep coming back to the same question. Why? What is Jacob's motivation here? Is he working for someone? Is this revenge for something that happened off-screen that we're supposed to just